please join me in welcoming Raquel, Reggie, and Joan to the stage. Raquel is an MD with 28 years of experience with problematic use of drugs. She's well known by the audience. She's trained in psychiatry, toxicology, and psychoanalytical framework. More importantly, I think for this stage, she's a consultant to the Uruguayan National Drug Secretariat and has been a clinical researcher monitoring the program. Raquel, welcome to the stage. Joan is a Panamanian neuroscientist and received her PhD in neuroscience from the Department of Pharmacology, University of Cambridge, England. She's recently returned to Panama and she specializes in the study of molecular and cellular mechanisms of inflammation and chronic pain. She has more than a decade of experience in research in both pharma and academia, and our local genius, Reggie. He's got a background in molecular biology with a PhD in molecular genetics, and he serves as the vice president, scientific operator, all-round cool guy, and director of intellectual property at Steep Hill. He's led the company's efforts in genetic and chemical profiling. Okay, so now we're gonna start, and it's a question to the panelists. We like to celebrate our achievements, as Saul said, getting from 0 to 1. So we have 3 panelists from 3 different countries, and the first question is, what do you want to celebrate? What is your local area, your local region, Uruguay, Panama, and the US? How have you done things well? And if I know this group, maybe a suggestion.
Well, thank you for inviting me. ¿Por qué en inglés? Voy a hablar en
We don't
español.
have simultaneous English translation,
No?
unfortunately.
But they
we
me
do?
pidieron que hablara en español, ¿no?
So then, yeah, go
Okay.
Spanish.
Entonces, ¿qué es lo que tengo para celebrar? Mucho. Esto fue un camino long and winding road. Durante mucho tiempo, algunos de los que dimos la cara como médicos en esta cruzada libertaria por los derechos humanos, por el derecho al acceso a la salud y por la seguridad de la gente, estuvimos en riesgo legal constante. Entonces hoy tenemos para celebrar justamente que hoy podemos tener este auditorio, hablar con transparencia, aún en los países que no han legalizado. O sea, la normalización de la que se habló hoy aquí ha trascendido la legalización en el mundo. Se puede hablar de cannabis aunque no haya sido legalizado. Y eso ya es una celebración. No obstante, tenemos mucho por hacer. Muchos países, sobre todo los países en vías de desarrollo, que requieren de esta normalización, pero sobre todo de la legalización para que su población pueda tener derecho al acceso a una política de empleo que mejore nuestras economías en América Latina, pero también que mejore su calidad de vida y salud. Sabemos que con cannabis medicinal podemos reducir muchos daños. Uno, el derivado de no solo de las enfermedades, sino de medicamentos que tienen una toxicidad importante. Y de esa manera vamos a mejorar no solo la calidad de vida de las personas, sino las políticas públicas, porque la inversión en salud va a ser mucho más beneficiosa. Entonces, claro que tenemos para celebrar. Lamentablemente, legalizar no alcanza. Y en eso quiero dar el ejemplo de mi país. Uruguay tiene una ley que es referencia. Es modelo, la ha copiado Italia cambiando algún número. Trudeau oportunamente dijo que su modelo iba a estar más cerca que el de Uruguay que del de Estados Unidos. Sin embargo, la burocracia, y este va a ser mi consejo para quienes están en proceso de legalización, obstaculiza activamente la implementación. El fundamentalismo sanitario de los ministerios de salud de América Latina y del mundo, no es solo América Latina, obstaculizan. Por lo tanto, quien esté legalizando, quien esté estudiando un proyecto de ley simultáneamente debe estar educando a la burocracia responsable de su implementación y viendo cómo va a hacer para neutralizar con los decretos de la implementación ese obstáculo. Así que mucho trabajo por hacer, pero siempre con alegría, siempre con esperanza y siempre con un futuro, porque hay un futuro para el cannabis y sobre todo para la gente.
Thank you. Wow. That was wonderful, even in simultaneous translation.
Did you get translation on your side?
Joe.
Sorry, he has a question.
Did your translator work? Because I can't
technical support to aisle 3. Can we get assistance on the translator? Joan, you're in a unique situation that you come from Panama.
Yeah.
So tell us something great about the Panamanian cannabis medical policy.
Well, something great about the Panamanian cannabis policy is that we're talking about it, that it's on the table, and we're on our way, hopefully, to legalize it within the next 1 or 2 years. So the fact that we're celebrating CannaTech in Panama, it's a celebration on itself, because this brings awareness. It brings us all together to discuss about it. Policy regulators, scientists, medical doctors, geneticists, all branches which are involved in helping to promote and to push for the legislation of something that can help so many people, that can inspire and push so many different markets and economies. I think it's a celebration on itself.
Amen. 0 to 1.
0 to 1.
Reggie, you've come from one of the more mature markets, and I'm sure you have a lot of areas of improvement, but one thing they did well.
So in the United States, there's a lot of places that have done bits and pieces well. There is no one regulatory regime in the United States that works perfectly. I think some of the things that are extremely important have to do with the science basis, right? So representative sampling, I think, is something that is starting to become a very important consideration in regulations that are coming up, and I think that.
Can you explain what that is,
Right, I was about to. So representative sampling is when you grow or cultivate cannabis, or you produce oils, you typically do it in large batches. And previously, under a voluntary testing regime, which is what the majority of the United States was until 2015, there was really, it was the cultivator or the processor would bring in the prime example of that batch, right? The top, best looking bud, the most potent portion of that batch, right? So, which is not representative sampling. It's not the way medicine is produced and or measured, right? So I think one of the things that I've seen that actually has helped push the industry in the United States in the right direction is the requirement now for more representative sampling that has a statistical basis and allows a better monitoring of what the cannabis going into the system is. I think that was one of the things that I was most pleased with in the new regulations that came out in a lot of different states. Other than that, I think the United States, even though it's one of the more mature markets, is horribly behind.
All right, so Reggie, continuing on from that point, now a question to you. When the novices, when the people who are fairly new to the industry think they understand the plant and how it engages with the body, what are they missing from your experience? In other words, what is the singular point that you don't think people understand when they're new to the market? I'm going to lead that in with the whole CBD THC.
Well, right. So that's exactly it. So unfortunately, it's a fault of the industry, right? So the industry has, because market prices are set by the percentage of THC or CBD, it's almost like people look for more bang for the buck. So I want to go out and buy Bacardi 151 because it's got the most alcohol, right? So, and the most THC and the most CBD are a misnomer, right? So that's not necessarily the medicinal part. Yes, there are absolutely medicinal uses for CBD and THC, absolutely. But the majority of the user experience and other really important aspects of the experience and the ability to absorb the material is based on the other entourage chemicals, right? So you have terpenes, you have flavonoids, you have aldehydes, ketones, alcohols, you have anthocyanidins. So all of these things have biological relevance, right? So for a long time, we ate carrots because of the beta-carotenoid, because it was, antioxidant. Well, all of these things exist in cannabis, but yet we focus solely on THC and CBD, which is doing a disservice to the entire industry.
So that's a beautiful lead into Joan. When we talk about how do the phytocannabinoids engage the endocannabinoid system, what do we know, what do we think, and what don't we know?
Okay, first I want to start with a fact. I want to ask the audience, how long do you think our bodies have been using cannabinoids? You'll probably answer me 2,000 years ago with the ancient Greeks, or 5,000 years with the Chinese civilization. But the answer is 200,000 years ago, when the first Homo sapiens appeared, we were already using cannabinoids because we have endocannabinoids, which are the cannabinoids that are within our body. They act, we have a whole system specialized in responding to cannabinoids. And it's not because of, well, it's like the egg and the chicken. It's not because of the plant. Our bodies rely on these systems to control almost every single homeostatic system in our body. And this is the reason why you have anecdotal evidence of people saying that cannabis helped them for multiple sclerosis, cannabis helped them for epilepsy, cannabis helped them for Parkinsonism, cannabis helped them for autism, cannabis helped them for pain. So this idea that the cannabinoid system is just 2 receptors, 5 endocannabinoid enzymes, and the phytocannabinoids, THC and CBD, as Reggie was speaking, it's a very simplistic and naive view because it goes way beyond that. We're actually calling it the endocannabinoidome, meaning there's so many. If I start naming all the mechanisms by which the cannabinoid system, the endocannabinoid, and the external phytocannabinoids act, I will not finish. But this is actually a positive thing, because the fact that it is so complex, it opens so many opportunities for investigating and for developing drugs for the different ailments. The trick is finding the balance of the different, and understanding the mechanisms by which each act. We have been studying THC and CBD for some years now. Actually, I was working with a pharmaceutical company that was researching back in 2007 about endocannabinoids, which not many people had heard about endocannabinoids back then. But the fact is that what we need is to develop drugs or to develop cannabinoids and cannabis compounds which can act on specific ailments, by understanding the mechanisms, and use systems biology and data science to sort of simplify this complexity, understand the complexity in order to help all the different patients and all the different pathologies and pathophysiologies which are out there that we can help by understanding the system.
Excellent, Reggie.
So the endocannabinoid system goes back 600 million years. It was first discovered in a sea squirt, which has not evolved in 600 million years. It was one of the first organisms that split from being unicellular. So the endocannabinoid system is part of every organism that came out of the ocean.
A mí me gustaría agregar algo. Discrepo un poco con la visión de la colega hacia dónde podemos ir, en el sentido de que pueden sí desarrollarse moléculas que actúen específicamente en algunos receptores, tanto los originales como los putativos del sistema endocannabinoide. Sin embargo, parte de la maravilla de este abordaje, de estos tratamientos, es lo que nosotros los médicos llamamos tratamiento multiimpacto. Y mi experiencia clínica, les puedo decir que el paciente viene por dolor crónico, pero tiene hipercolesterolemia y la mejora y suspende estatinas, y además está mejor del estado de ánimo y duerme mejor, y esto es por cómo funciona el sistema endocannabinoide. Entonces, de una parte, y sobre todo a partir de cierta edad, en donde tenemos muchas nanas, es importante poder contar con la propiedad multitarget de los cannabinoides. Y que con una molécula, a mí me pasa con pacientes que por dolor crónico me llegan, solo por dolor, con 6 medicamentos, más el antihipertensivo, más el hipocolesterolemiante, más, promedio 12 a 15 medicamentos. Y en 6 meses de tratamiento toman 4 a 5. Y esto es parte de la maravilla de lo que se llaman medicamentos multitarget, que la industria farmacéutica con monomoléculas no ha podido lograr. Sí sabemos que cuanto más selectiva es una molécula, más específica es para una acción. Sin embargo, también sabemos que tienen muchos efectos adversos, y eso es porque están actuando en otros lados también. En el cannabis eso se da de manera positiva, no negativa. Y me parece que eso es algo que no deberíamos perder.
Amazing, amazing. So now I'm going to ask the panel to step it up a bit and go into a little bit deeper for possibly the more experienced, the issue of tolerance and build up over chronic use. So if we look at patients that are using a lot of the medications that we're talking about chronically, epilepsy, chronic pain, what do we know about tolerance in your personal experience with the patients or from your understanding? And how do we deal with this if we're going to be using these medications for 5, 15, potentially 20 years? If we're in the beginning of the 70-year-olds who are now entering the golden age, and we're going to encourage for many of them potentially cannabinoid therapies, the different types of medication that they could need or how that might be changed or regime, if you've got anything to speak about that, because we've already got patients for a few years now.
¿Quieres empezar tú?
I don't deal with patients.
Entonces,
But receptor kinetics are receptor kinetics, right? So, and at the end of the day, long-term use of anything is going to saturate your receptor system and it needs to reset, right? So those are basic biochemistry.
Okay, so translate that now for the regulators and the new people in the room. What does that mean in regards to products?
¿puedo ponerlo con un
yes, I'm not
ejemplo?
going to stop, Raquel, no.
Con un ejemplo. Muchas veces me llegan pacientes, cada vez vemos dolorosamente más esclerosis múltiple en gente joven que está usando cannabis. ¿Y por qué no le está funcionando para aliviar su dolor o relajar las contracturas? Porque sus receptores se han saturado, porque no están respondiendo. ¿Qué hacemos en eso? Hacemos un washout, un lavado, desensibilizamos y volvemos a empezar. Y si lo hacemos en dosis bajas, vamos a mantener un sistema endocannabinoide reactivo, respondiendo mejor que cuando están bloqueados. La gente lo puede entender muy fácilmente con otras drogas, el tabaco. Cuando uno fuma, se puede fumar una caja y ni se entera. Pero si deja de fumar 2 días y fuma un cigarrillo, se marea, tiene efectos psicoactivos. Esto es porque los receptores se han limpiado. Con los cannabinoides también puede pasar. Sin embargo, pasa algo muy interesante. En el tratamiento por dolor crónico, con los opiáceos, lo que vemos es que cada vez las dosis tienen que ser progresivas hasta que llega un momento que tampoco responde. Cuando agregamos cannabinoides a estos tratamientos, oh my God, bajamos las dosis de los opiáceos. Sacamos a los pacientes de las zonas de riesgo por opiáceos. Pero más interesante aún, luego podemos también, en mi experiencia, bajar las dosis de THC, que es el único componente que genera dependencia química en la planta. 9%, es una dependencia de todos los psicoactivos, es la más baja, menos que las benzodiazepinas y que todas las demás drogas de abuso. Lo interesante es que el paciente que se ha mejorado de sus síntomas, luego de un tiempo, podemos hasta bajar las dosis. O sea, el fenómeno de la tolerancia sí se da, pero básicamente en el uso abusivo, en el misuse, pero raramente en el uso medicinal. Por eso cuando un paciente me pregunta, doctora, ¿me voy a hacer adicto? En un tratamiento médico en base a cannabinoides es excepcional. Es raro, muy raro. Y sobre todo si asociamos CBD.
So
I'm
your
gonna
last
follow
point,
on from
CBD.
that in the time.
So CBD is a little bit different, right? So because the reality is that we don't know if CBD acts through a receptor yet, right? So we may not see receptor saturation with CBD. However, as we move forward in human genetics, we're starting to see certain things map to what might be a CBD receptor, GPR135, which seems to map to irritable bowel disease and other internal inflammation diseases, right? So it's possible that we may be on the cusp of finding a CBD receptor. But as of right now, we don't see that, we don't know that, and so CBD is not subject really to receptor kinetics as of yet that we know of. So,
Joan, do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add up from what my colleague here was saying. It is the beauty of the endocannabinoid system, the fact that it's so multifaceted that you can target it from so many aspects. And I wasn't saying that we're looking for single specific. Actually, the development of the drugs has been, or the development of cannabis compounds mixed together has been in the direction of compounding different mechanisms in order to achieve the benefits that you have. And in this way, I emphasize on this, understanding these mechanisms is how we're going to be able to just battle that, the tolerance. So Yes, for CBD there is no known receptor at the moment, but there are known mechanisms by which you can enhance the activity of CBD. And so therefore reduce the doses and reduce the possible tolerance effect. So I am a strong advocate of understanding how all of these endocannabinoids and these phytocannabinoids work so we can manipulate the system in order to achieve the desirable outcome.
That was amazing. I learn something every time I watch a CannaTech presentation. So now my question is on drug delivery. So if we look at this as a possible therapy, at the moment the most common, the most experience we have is with smoking. Maybe if we go further back, some tinctures. When we look forward, again, for the regulators, for the people who've heard about medical cannabis, what do you see as being in the short term, the best and the most appropriate, but also dreaming forward, what would you like to be able to give your patients?
Y yo creo que ya no estamos soñando, estamos cerca, ¿eh? No nos olvidemos, Israel está investigando nanomoléculas en el tratamiento de cáncer y nanomoléculas, presentaciones, formulaciones con nanomoléculas, con cannabinoides. O sea, ya no estamos tan lejos de esta alta tecnología, es utilizando los cannabinoides, distintas formas de administración. Yo le pido a esta industria lo mismo que cualquier médico le pide a cualquier industria de productos medicinales, que es seguridad, el uso apropiado, la indicación, identificación, saber la procedencia del producto y todo un tracking, la pureza, no contaminantes, no adulterantes, las vías de administración, las formulaciones apropiadas para las distintas formulaciones. Estamos acostumbrados al fumar, una barbaridad médica, y al oil, y la vía percutánea, y la vía submucosa, la vía oftálmica, con nanomoléculas, son lipídicos, son compuestos lipídicos, pero pueden formularse de manera hidrolipídica. Lo que queremos es avanzar en las modalidades de presentación para que puedan ser usados con el menor riesgo de efectos adversos y la mayor eficacia a las distintas patologías. ¿Por qué una persona que tiene glaucoma tiene que fumarse un churro cada 2 horas? Es una barbaridad médica. ¿Por qué una persona que tiene dificultades absortivas tiene que solamente usar la vía oral? Porque no estamos pensando con la libertad de la ciencia. Y eso es algo que, a pesar de ser advocator, de ser activista de mucho tiempo, creo que tenemos que perder, no confundir el romanticismo beckeriano en esta historia, porque la seguridad de los tratamientos y de nuestros pacientes no dependen del romanticismo, sí de nuestro idealismo humanitario, pero no de la idealización de las cosas, sino de su evaluación en términos de seguridad y eficacia. Y la calidad del producto es fundamental. Y calidad no quiere decir solamente con testing, y él lo sabe muy bien. Es todo el procedimiento que llevó la formulación. Que haya prácticas evaluables, controlables, traqueables, todo eso contribuye a la calidad del producto. Una de las cosas que a mí yo en 32 años que trabajo en el mundo de las drogas, es la primera vez que acepto trabajar en una compañía como parte del staff. Me he unido a plena, como allí dice, y parte de lo que me entusiasmó fue esta misión de desarrollar cannabis medicinal de alta calidad a precios accesibles, porque no es cierto que la buena calidad tenga que ser desmesurado los precios con las que se comercializan. Nuestros pueblos no precisan eso.
We're all loving this. I hope you're enjoying it as well.
You don't need me anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Awesome. You don't need me anymore ever.
In regards,
No, stay.
in regards to drug delivery, Joan in particular and Reggie, the time aspects that we touched on about having to smoke every 2 hours or having to take these things, is there anything that we have now in the arsenal that we can see coming up that you want to add? And then I've got a follow-on question. Either of you.
Go.
Well, there is research going on thanks to the opening of the legislation and everything. There's a money pouring into the research, into many several ways of delivering systems for cannabinoids. I mean, I recently heard a very interesting technology on sublingual delivery, time lapse with nanoparticles. So basically, we are advancing. Obviously, as the industry opens up, there is more investment into the ability to do research, which was, suppressed for many years because of, the prohibition in a way. But so we are looking for.
As a testing lab, so it's interesting because I get to see a lot of the innovation that comes out of the industry. So biofilms, nanoemulsions of probably 8 or 10 different types, protein conjugation. So we're really starting to see application of a lot of pharmaceutic blending and methodology actually stepping into it. And it's been an interesting conversion because we went from, my company was the first cannabis testing lab on the planet, right, in 2007. So we've gone from seeing horribly non-homogeneous like brownies, right, to transdermal patches and things that you can almost not distinguish from the pharmaceutical industry. So there has been a tremendous shift. I think we're seeing a lot more professionalism and application of high-end science and medical technology to the industry. And I think that's what we absolutely need.
So an opportunity to plug. iCAN with the team at iCAN are also developing along those same lines ocular delivery, using those same ideas of nano. So we're right there, and I think that's what we want to push the industry for, and that's why iCAN's involved. But having someone who's been involved in that development in the little time that we have, if we want to talk about medicine, we need to discuss it with the doctors. But when we look around the room, I don't want to ask out of sheer embarrassment for the population, how many doctors are here? And I know that there are not many, and when I'm trying to speak to a doctor, why is there not more after 10 years, 20 years of experience, after all this research? What is stopping the mainstream physicians? I understand US is different to Uruguay is different to Panama, but what is stopping us in the 1 minute, 30-second answer?
En realidad es igual en todos lados. Yo tengo pacientes canadienses en Uruguay, incluyendo del sistema diplomático, y que cuando vuelven a su país no tienen médico ni quien les provea producto. Canadá, 20 años, más de 20 años de programa de medicinal. Holanda no tiene médicos que prescriban. Mañana vamos a hablar en mi presentación justamente de cómo resolvemos este gap que tenemos entre la distancia que los médicos tienen en esto y por qué, y la banalización, la trivialización que hoy hacen los pacientes de esto de la holy plant, y entonces como es de la naturaleza no tiene riesgo. Pregúntenle a Sócrates cómo le fue con la cicuta, que también viene de la naturaleza. Naturaleza no quiere decir inocuidad, naturaleza no quiere decir seguridad extrema, quiere decir que nuestra objeto de estudio, el cannabis y los cannabinoides, son suficientemente buenos, pero requieren de abordajes, controles, tienen interacciones que tenemos que evaluar y hacer monitoreo. Nuestros colegas han leído una sola biblioteca, la que generó la prohibición. Hoy tenemos que abrir la biblioteca, la otra biblioteca, para que accedan al mundo. Y esto requiere de compromiso de todos nosotros, produciendo información confiable y accesible. No está ocurriendo todavía y por eso estamos haciendo lo que es el curso de formación médica con estándar académico, tal cual las facultades de medicina, para que sea incluido en los programas de las escuelas de medicina y se formen desde el pregrado. ¿Cómo es que un sistema fisiológico, como es el sistema endocannabinoide, no se estudia en fisiología? Un sistema que regula todos los demás. Esto es la pérdida de la libertad de la ciencia por la prohibición, algo que no podemos seguir tolerando.
So,
if you want to follow that.
I'm going to say it more simply. So my father's a retired cancer surgeon, and I have him on a CBD oil because he had a horrible stroke and he was confined to a wheelchair. After being on CBD, he's actually got a normal life again. And when I asked him, actually I was poking fun at him because he tried to disown me when I was 17 and he caught me smoking marijuana.
The irony.
The irony, right? But when I asked him, how did he feel now that he knew that cannabis was helping him have a better quality of life? His answer as an MD was, I only knew what they taught me, right? So, which dovetails perfectly, right?
All right, we need to wrap up. Joan, one
Yeah.
last word on that point. Anything need to be added?
Education, education, education. That's what I
Welcome to CannaTech, everyone. Thank you very much.